Hey everybody, McAllister here, just sharing some directions for the week and making sure everybody knows what's going on, just in case you weren't able to make it to the Google Meet or you zoned out or fell asleep or whatever. Just posting these instructions to be helpful to you. So a couple of the things that either we talked about in class today or that we will talk about tomorrow if you're in my 4th, 5th, and 6th. Be sure that you are logging into the correct Canvas page for this class. So we are now in semester 2. So make sure that you're not logging into semester 1. Here's what it'll look like if you do log into semester 1. It will show you something like this. Actually, it'll show you just this. This is the Canvas page for first semester. Go to English 10, semester 2 for second semester calendar, assignments, grades, and announcements. So the only reason I have the semester 1 page up still is for those people who were failing at the end of the semester and are going to receive an incomplete. They're going to need to access this page for previous work that they missed. And so in order to do that, they'll click on Pages, View All Pages, and it has all of our weeks listed from the beginning of school with the directions and the calendar and the links to assignments and all that good stuff. So if you are one of those people, just shoot me an email and we will talk. All right, so back to semester 2. The first thing I want to just remind you about is that it's second semester and every person in here, in every single class, in all your classes, you have an A in every class. You do not have to earn an A. You just start out the semester with an A, which is awesome because all you need to do is keep it. Okay. So for my class, if you show up to the Google Meets and you do the work that I assign each week, which is not going to take you that long, I would say an hour or less every week, 1 hour out of the entire week, you can maintain that A. No problem. I guarantee it. I would love to give everybody in here an A. That would be wonderful. Okay, so we've got my email address here. We've got our Google Meet links. They're the same links as last semester. They're just, I put them on the second semester Canvas page. One other thing I wanted to show you real quick, just in case you weren't at the meet, is the categories and weights of those categories for grading have changed from last semester. So the English department and I got together and decided to change the categories to these 3 categories. So last semester we had assessments, writing, projects, quiz, and daily work, I believe. So we got rid of projects and then we merged writing into assessments. So all you've got now are assessments, which is worth 50% of your total grade. Any writing assignment that I give is going to be listed under assessment, because I look at your writing to assess how you're doing in the class and what your writing is like. And that's a huge major part of English class. So assessment / writing, 50%. Daily work is 40%. You can see that you've got 2 assignments this week that will be graded under daily work. And then quizzes. I know I don't give a lot of quizzes, but I may need to get creative and come up with some fun quizzes so I can put something in the gradebook for that. All right, let's go back to our calendar. So I am delighted to give you this week's assignment, and it's going to go into the next week, definitely, possibly even a 3rd week. I haven't decided yet. But I am delighted about this week's assignment. So a little bit of background. I found this book. It was recommended by my favorite podcast, This American Life. And this was like over a year ago. So this is pre-pandemic. I was at the gym. I was listening to this podcast and they're talking about this author, Ross Gay, and how he wrote this book called The Book of Delights. And basically he writes about different things, little small moments, snippets, different things that people in his life do that bring him delight, that delight him. And so basically this whole book, it's fairly long, but the way that it's written is, let me show you. So this is the table of contents over here. Oops. And you can see there's a lot of chapters. But that is because every single chapter is like a page or two, or even like half a page. So they're just these, he calls them essayettes, and they're just these little snippets of delight that he finds in his life and writes about. And it's delightful. And I'm sorry I keep saying that. I'm very punny, but it is. It's just delightful. Okay, so anyway, I decided, because maybe we are not as attuned to delight right now at this point in our world and our society. We've got a lot of, hard stuff going on, and delight may not be the first thing on people's minds. So I thought, you know what, this would be a good time for us to recognize delight and think about delight and write about it. So that's what we're going to be doing this week and next week. So let me tell you a little bit more about this author, Ross Gay, who's amazing. So this is Ross Gay. He was born in 1974. So he's like a modern day, still living, still writing, still producing author and poet. He's only, 7 years older than me. So we're like contemporaries. He's written a bunch of books. He writes poetry. He is a founding editor of this online sports magazine. Some call it Ballin'. I put the link in there in case anybody wants to check it out. And then a founding board member of the Bloomington Community Orchard. Listen to this description: a nonprofit free fruit for all, food justice and joy project. Love that. Put the link in there as well if you feel like checking it out. Love that. So he teaches poetry and English at Indiana University, in addition to everything else that he does. He's just a cool guy. Okay, so you may be like, okay, McAllister keeps saying delight. What the heck is delight? Like, I know I've heard it. I don't really know what the definition is. I got you. I got the definition right here. So delight can be used as a verb, so an action word or a noun, a thing. And as a verb, delight means to please greatly. And as a noun, it is, so if you say something is a delight, it is a cause or source of great pleasure. So synonyms, verb synonyms are enchant, captivate, thrill, tickle, amuse. Love all of those. And some nouns are happiness, joy, glee, and elation. Okay, so his whole book focuses on delights that he notices in the world around him. Okay, let me just read the blue part to you. You know what? I'm going to read this whole thing to you because I know some of you like me to read the writing out loud, and it's really short, so it won't take me that long. So just hang tight, sit back, follow along, and listen. Here we go. I recently discovered Ross Gay's book, 2019, The Book of Delights, so it's new, while listening to my favorite podcast, This American Life. I thought it'd be fitting during this time when life is turned on its head, the future feels uncertain, and hope and joy feel like a glimmer of a previous life, to read a couple of Gay's essayettes on delight and to write our own. That's what he calls them, because they're like little teeny tiny essays. First, read Gay's preface to his book below. A preface is basically a story the author tells the reader about how they were motivated or encouraged to write their story. It's a way of introducing their book and gives the reader an idea of what they are about to read. Okay, so real quick, preface. Some books have a preface, some books don't. This book does, and it's really good at explaining the whole kind of like purpose of this book and how it came about. So his preface comes right after the table of contents at the beginning of the book, and it's short. It's like a page. Wait, I missed a page. It's like a page and a half. So it's short, but it gives you a good intro to his book and kind of tells you his motivation for doing this. So here we go. Preface to Ross Gay's The Book of Delights. One day last July, feeling delighted and compelled to both wonder about and share that delight, I decided that it might feel nice, even useful, to write a daily essay about something delightful. I remember laughing to myself for how obvious it was. I could call it something like The Book of Delights, which he did. I came up with a handful of rules. Write a delight every day for a year, begin and end on my birthday, August 1st, draft them quickly, and write them by hand. The rules made it a discipline for me, a practice. Spend time thinking and writing about delight every day. Because I was writing these essayettes pretty much daily, confession, I skipped some days, patterns and themes and concerns show up. For instance, I traveled quite a bit this year. I often write in cafes. This is pre-COVID, by the way, just barely. My mother is often on my mind. Racism is often on my mind. Kindness is often on my mind. Politics, pop, music, books, dreams, public space. My garden is often on my mind. Same. It didn't take me long to learn that the discipline or practice of writing these essays occasioned a kind of delight radar. Or maybe it was more like the development of a delight muscle, something that implies that the more you study delight, the more delight there is to study. A month or two into this project, delights were calling out to me, write about me, write about me. Because it is rude not to acknowledge your delights, I'd tell them that though they may not become essayettes, they were still important, and I was grateful to them. Which is to say, I felt my life to be more full of delight, not without sorrow or pain or fear or loss. Sorry, I switched that up, but more full of delight. I also learned this year that my delight grows, much like love and joy, when I share it. Ugh, swoon. Okay, so that is his preface or his intro, basically. He's telling you what he's about to write about and why. I love his writing style. I love how he just kind of speaks to you. He's not trying to be like excessively flowery with his language and use a bunch of big words that you have to look up along the way. He's just like, hey, I'm Ross Gay. Here's what motivated me to write this, and here's how I'm going to do it, and here's how I feel about it. And he's just straightforward. I really appreciate his writing style. Okay, so for this assignment, for the first one, it's under daily work. You're going to answer these 3 questions. Why did he decide to write his book, The Book of Delights? What do you think he means by a delight radar or a delight muscle? Those are his words. And what do you think they mean? And what does Ross say he learned from his practice of identifying and write about delights in his life? Please put your answer in your own words. Don't copy and paste from his preface. And you know what? I just realized I've been referring to him by his first name, and I should be referring to him by his last name. If we were talking about Shakespeare, we wouldn't say, what does William say about blah, blah, blah? Okay. All right, so that's your first assignment. Basically, I just read you the preface. Answer the 3 questions. Tell me your thoughts. Okay? All right, next assignment. I just wanted you to get to know Ross Gay a little bit more, figure out who he was, what he was all about, what makes him tick, et cetera, et cetera. So your second assignment, another picture of Ross Gay. I'm just going to read through this for you. This task introduces you to poet and author Ross Gay through an interview with NPR's Ari Shapiro and a YouTube video in which Gay reads aloud excerpts from his book, The Book of Delights. It will give you an idea of how to identify delights in your own life, where you can find them, and what they might look like. When you're finished reading/listening to the interview and watching the YouTube video, you will brainstorm your own list of delights. And then next week, so not this week, but next week, you'll choose a couple of delights from your own life, share them with your peers in a discussion board, and write about them and expand on them in further detail. I'm so excited. So let me just say, usually I do something similar to this assignment with House on Mango Street, but I'm kind of leaning away from, I'm definitely leaning away from novels this year. I don't think reading a novel as a class online would be that beneficial to you guys right now. I think I would lose a lot of people, and I don't want that to happen. And I've really been enjoying finding, new material, current material, relevant to how people are feeling and thinking about life right now. So anyway, usually I do this with House on Mango Street. It's written in a similar style. It's like a bunch of little vignettes is what she calls them. And then Ross Gay calls his essayettes, just a bunch of little snippets of stories of her life. And then at the end of it, I have you write your own collection of vignettes. So it's a very similar learning targets, very similar writing practice, but we're just doing it with a different author who's more contemporary. Sandra Cisneros, author of House on Mango Street, is also contemporary, but I didn't want you to read an entire novel in an online class. So that's why we're doing this, for many reasons. One of many. Okay, so here are the steps for this second assignment for the week. Step 1, you're going to listen to this interview on NPR where host Ari Shapiro interviews Ross Gay about his book. It's about 7 minutes long, and it includes a transcript of the interview, which I love. Let me show you what that means. NPR is great for this because it gives you the audio. So all you have to do is click here and you can listen. Or if you would like to follow along, it includes a written transcript. So everything they say back and forth to each other, and then, this is what Shapiro says, this is what Ross Gay says. You can follow along in writing. It's amazing. So depending on what your learning style or preference is, you can either listen or read or do both. I don't care which, as long as you process the information and get it in your brain. Okay, so that's the first thing you're going to do. Second thing, you are going to watch this YouTube video of Ross Gay himself reading excerpts from his book. He's in like a bookstore. This is pre-COVID, and he's just in front of a group of people and he's reading parts of his book, and it's awesome. And you get to like see him and hear his voice, and he gets to read his own work, which I think is really cool, because we don't get to hear that from authors who were born long ago and are no longer living. Note, there is a curse word at 3 minutes and 28 seconds through 29 seconds. So if you would prefer, you are welcome to mute those 2 seconds of the video. That's just a heads up. Okay, once you do those 2 things, the interview and the YouTube video, you are going to brainstorm a list of delights of your own from your own life. Okay, this part, step 3, is going to make a lot more sense once you have watched the video and the interview, but I'm going to go over it anyway, just in case. Sorry, I just got a text. I'm going to go over it anyway so that when you get to this point in the assignment, you know what to do. So step 3, brainstorm a list of delights from your own life. They can be big or small. Remember, Ross writes about things like taking a baby tomato plant on a plane and a 2-on-2 basketball game. So really, it can be anything that delights you. So what delights me might not delight you. The way that the tulip bulbs in my garden outside are already poking up through the soil, even though it's February, brings me delight. Like, I am tickled by that when I see that, even though I'm like, go back down, it's too early, it might snow. I'm tickled by that. You might not be tickled by that. So I would suggest you not write about that. The way that my dog trusts me enough that he'll roll over and offer me his belly, even though he's this kind of scary looking pit bull. He's like, I know you're chill, Mom. Here's my belly. Give me a good scratch. That, it brings me delight. It tickles me. It thrills me. It just like makes me full of happiness and cheer and glee and joy. So, little things like that, little moments that bring you delight. You can, and so I give you some examples here. If you're just like, I don't know what brings me delight, you can write about a small human or animal or nature-based, plants moment that delighted you, a specific day or hour or moment that brought you joy. I want you to be specific. So don't just say baseball or makeup or whatever video game it is you're playing, or my favorite TikToker, or sunshine, or my mom. Yes, those are all things that bring you joy, but I want you to be specific. What about baseball? What about the game? What about the players? What about putting on your uniform? What about the dirt? What about the mathematics of it all? Or your mom. What is it about your mom? Some specific thing that brings you delight that she does. And it may be something silly or weird or whatever. If it brings you delight, you're going to brainstorm it here. Okay? I want you to come up with at least 10. Do your best. Times are hard, but I guarantee if you stop to think about it, and maybe it'll take you a few days, you can come up with 10 things that bring you delight. Okay, I am so thrilled and delighted about this assignment. I can't wait to talk more about it and see what kind of things you guys come up with. This week's workload is not heavy. It is very light. And I literally just read you the only reading that you have. So it should take you under a half hour. So if you have extra time, just sit and ponder some things that bring you delight in your life. And then I'm hoping on Wednesday and Thursday, we can maybe brainstorm some of those together, and some people would be willing to share some of their delights from their own lives. Okay? All right. Until then, I am thinking of you, missing you, hoping I can see your faces soon. If not in person, at least you'll turn your cameras on so I can see you in class. All right, I love you guys. I'll see you soon. Bye.